Echoes in the Hollow Nebula. Part 1, the SOS. They say the void is never truly silent. They're right. Space hums, low and constant, like the heartbeat of something ancient pretending to sleep. Most people don't notice it. I do. I've been out here too long not to. I'm Lieutenant Commander Mark Vance, Terran Navy. Call sign Hawk 9. Patrol lead for the 3rd Frontier Response Wing, the cleanup crew for a galaxy that keeps finding new ways to break itself. It was supposed to be another cold run through the black. No contact, no calls, no nightmares. Then we heard it. Bridge to all ships, incoming SOS, encryption unknown. Source triangulating near the Hollow Nebula. The comm deck went quiet. Even the hum of the reactor seemed to pause. The Hollow Nebula wasn't on anyone's route. Too dense, too unstable. Old wrecks vanished in there without leaving a ping. It was the kind of place pilots only talked about after a few too many drinks. I leaned over the console. Run it again. Origin signature. Ops Tech Juno spun in her seat. Sir, it's weird. It's a Type 7 distress call, but the carrier modulation isn't human. Reads, organic. Organic, I repeated. Like it's bleeding instead of broadcasting. She half smiled, half grimaced. Closer to, breathing. A faint, pulsing tone filled the speakers, not static, not digital, a rhythm like a dying heart. Then words layered through the pulse. Not English. Not any of the coalition tongues. But the meaning somehow landed. Help us. The hive falls. The queen fades. I felt my stomach tighten. Play that again, I said. Juno did, and this time the ship's AI translated on instinct. Language match, Sarlith Hive dialect. That pulled a groan from our comm chief. Those bugs. Thought we glassed their homeworld 100 years ago. I didn't answer right away. There were things you didn't say out loud in uniform, like how war stories never really die. The Sarlith had been humanity's first real existential fight. Entire fleets gone. The only reason either species survived was because we stopped shooting before the last planet cracked. Sir, Juno said quietly, the signal's fading. If we don't move now, we lose it. I keyed the command channel. FleetNet priority. This is Lieutenant Commander Vance, 3rd Response Wing. I'm taking Indomitable into the Hollow Nebula. Mark course vector to source. Authorization code Echo 97. Command tried to talk me out of it. Of course they did. No recon, no backup, no guarantee it wasn't a trap. But deep down, I think they knew the answer. Humans don't ignore distress calls. We are the distress call. Helm, burn to 0.75C, keep her steady, that gas cloud's going to shear our sensors. Copy that, sir. Cutting NAV lights. Through the viewport, the nebula rolled in violet swells, clouds dense enough to swallow stars. Static lightning danced between the folds, painting our hull in pulses of ghost light. My XO, Lieutenant Reese, stood beside me, arms crossed. You realize if this goes bad, we'll be the headline for a month. Maybe 2, I said. Make sure we look heroic. She snorted, then frowned as the next pulse hit. Radiation's climbing. I've got echo returns at 4 o'clock, big structures, metallic composites. On screen. The display flickered, towers, half melted, rising from a planet crust buried in the nebula's fog. Thousands of them, like the ribs of some dead god. Son of a, Reese whispered. That's not a ruin. That's a hive. The SOS repeated, weaker now, the tone trembling. Help us, hive falls, queen fades. Ops, sir, that signal's coming from the surface, sub-level coordinates 12/6. No defensive signatures. No ships. Just decay. Prep drop team, I ordered. Standard hazard loadout. Marines, Med, Engineer Corps. I'm going down. Reese shot me a look that could strip paint. You are going down. Sir, regs. Regulations don't mean a damn thing to corpses, I said. If someone's still alive, we move. The landing was rough, atmosphere thick as tar, gravity heavier than forecast. Dust storms rolled like living fog, and the air shimmered with bioluminescent spores. I hit the ground first, boots sinking into sand that pulsed faintly under pressure. Vance to Shuttle 2, copy. Shuttle 2 here. We're down 10 meters west of you. Atmospheric particulates off the scale. Visibility 20 meters. Stay tight. Helmets sealed. Sensors on wideband. The hive loomed ahead, black towers grown from metal and chitin. Their surfaces pulsed, faintly alive. I'd seen battlefields. I'd seen cities after orbital fire. This was worse. This was what came after extinction tried and failed. We breached an archway, moving slow. Shapes lay scattered across the ground, carapaces cracked open like eggs. Private Chin muttered, "Jesus. They killed themselves." "No," I said quietly. "Something drained them. Look at the shells, inside-out collapse. Energy vacuum reaction. Meaning they were eaten from the inside." We advanced another 50 meters before we found the source of the signal. A massive chamber opened around us, concentric rings of shattered bioarchitecture. At the center, a single figure, enormous, motionless, connected to cables of flesh and wire. "The Queen," Reese whispered over comms. I stepped closer. Her carapace was fractured, leaking pale light. Her breathing was shallow, each exhale a tone that matched the SOS pulse. She turned her head and looked directly at me. Her voice slid into the translator softly, "You came." For a moment, I forgot to breathe. "Yeah," I said, helmet speaker low. "We heard your call. I thought, all your kind gone from the stars near ours. Some of us never left." She blinked slowly. "Then you are, enemy." I hesitated. "I'm human." Silence stretched. The other Marines shifted uneasily, safeties half-clicked. Then she said, "Then you are, Hope." The translator crackled. I asked her name. She gave me a sound like breaking glass, which it rendered as Sarlith. She said the hive was dying, not from war, but from the aftermath of peace. Their reactors were decaying, self-sufficiency gone. When the Sarlith War ended, their systems were crippled by a failsafe, a human one. Back during the final battles, Earth strategists had seeded the hives with viral nanite countermeasures. Dormant for a century, they were now waking, eating through energy sources like acid. "Your kind made this," she said, her voice faltering. I wanted to argue. "Instead," I said, "my kind also answered your call." We spent 6 hours on the surface. Our engineers confirmed it, the failsafe was real, spreading like rust. If it reached the core, the entire hive world would implode. Command ordered us to pull out. I looked at Sarlith, a queen of a species we once nearly erased, and I couldn't. "FleetNet, this is Vance," I said into the mic, "recommend delaying evac. There's a chance to contain this." "Negative," Command replied. "That's a graveyard, Lieutenant Commander. Get your people out." "Understood," I said. Then muted the channel. Reese sighed. "You're going to get court-martialed again, aren't you?" "Wouldn't be the first time." We set up field labs, linked to the hive's energy grid, and started tracing the viral code. Sarlith watched us, silent but attentive. At one point she asked, "Why risk your lives for your old enemy?" I told her the truth. "Because we don't get to choose who's worth saving. We just do it." She studied me with eyes like molten amber. "Then perhaps we will learn what it means to be human." Part 2, The Hollow Heart. We quartered the team in a shattered antechamber 1 level below the Queen's dais. It smelled like rust and rain inside a machine that used to dream. Portable lamps threw cones of white across ribbed walls. Every now and then the chitin flexed under the heat like it remembered how to breathe. "Ops, status on the nanite failsafe," I said, leaning over a field hollow strewn with red arteries. Juno pinch-zoomed a crawling heat map. "It's not dumb cancer, sir. It's steering for structural nexus points, capillaries, not veins. Someone tuned this to eat support before it eats symptom. Meaning it wants the hive to fall apart before it dies," Reese said. "Meaning," I said, "someone wanted their extinction to look like entropy." Silence. Boots shuffled. Even Marines know when a thing's too ugly to kick. Engineering to Vance, came Amaya's voice over local. We've spliced a bypass into subgrid F12 and Cap 2 spreaders, but the swarm is rewriting itself in response. Like it knows we're here. Copy. Keep it cold and slow, I said. I don't want it learning our rhythms. I walked back to the Queen. Zolrith's thorax rose and fell with metronomic insistence, stubborn more than strong. Thin veins of light pulsed along the cables that held her to the dais. You burn yourself to feed them, I said. I anchor balance, she replied. Without me, brood minds drift. Without brood, towers sleep. Without towers, she glanced upward where the roof fractured into violet sky. We are dust that once remembered a name. Then let's keep remembering. She studied me. Your scent is iron and rain and old fire. You have killed. Yeah, I said. I've also pulled people out from under burning ships. We will measure you by the ladder, she said, and I pretended that didn't hit center mass. Vance, Reese called, you need to see this. We gathered around the hollow. New data pulsed, a rhythmic square wave riding the nanite chatter. Juno frowned. That's not emergent. That's a beacon. From where? Deep, she said. Below core level. Subcrypt tiers. Looks like an old command sanctum. Queen, I asked, can you authorize entry? No locks bar you. We have no hands left to turn them. Reese, take first squad. I want eyes in a clean corridor. Non-lethal unless fired upon. Reese strapped her helmet. Copy. Marines, stack on me. Chen, rear guard. Ortiz, your point. Let's go make friends in the dark. They moved out, visors ghosting across the dust. I stayed with Juno, listening to the hive breathe while the connet carried the team's heartbeat. First squad moving. 10 meters. 20. Visibility 5. Walls, sir, the walls are alive. Alive how? I asked. Like they're listening. We hit 70 meters before the first bang. A flash, then static, then overlapping voices. Contact. Contact. Non-lethal. Smoke out. Ortiz is down, he's up, he's fine, was a glancing hit, shields holding. On me. Push. I was moving before I knew it, second squad falling in behind me. The sanctum corridor opened like a throat. A triple row of narrow alcoves lined both sides, each with a slumbering drone inside, thin, starved-looking, eyes like ember pits. The awake ones aimed shardcasters that hummed in my fillings. Cold. I barked, palms open. Terran Navy. We answer your SOS. A drone stepped forward, taller, armored, scars overlaying scars. Its mandibles clicked, the translator rendered gravel. You answer to finish what you began. Behind me, Reese hissed, Vance. I know. I removed my sidearm. The corridor tracked every wrist. I set the weapon on the deck, kicked it away, lifted my hands again. I'm Lieutenant Commander Mark Vance. We came to stabilize your core and pull civilians out. You can shoot us and fail, or use us and maybe live. A long pause. The tall drone cocked its head. You smell of oath and salt. Not wrong. I am Overseer Jkra. I tend what refuses to die. He gestured with the caster. Why now? Why answer after 100 years? Because you called, I said simply. Jkra's mandibles flexed, maybe a smile, maybe a twitch. He lowered the weapon first. The others followed, reluctant synchronized breathing. Follow, he said. Careful. The hive remembers pain. We descended into the sanctum. The beacon's beat grew louder, like a clock that wanted to be a heart. The chamber was a scar in architecture, human angles forced into alien curves, cables grafted like veins onto a metal monolith. Amaya's voice in my ear, Sir, I'm looking at the same schematic. That block is ours, Terran make. Late war. A plaque half-fused into the casing bore letters dulled by time. I wiped grime. My throat tightened. TNS Endeavor, Countermeasure Relay CR, 7. Our failsafe. Our ghost. Our fault. Juno swore softly. Reese didn't. She watches me when swearing is easy. Chkra watched us watch it. So. Not myth. No, I said. Not myth. He approached the block, laying a segmented hand on the warm metal. These killed hatch broods while they slept. They ate the songs we used to weave the night. I can shut it down, I said. We can. But it's wired into your grid like a tumor with roots. If you fail, then I make sure the last thing I break is my orders. Chkra stared. Then he spoke softly enough that the translator lagged. You are not like the others we fought. You're not either, I said, because it seemed fair. We brought up a portable interface. CR-7 greeted us with the same cheer you get from a locked tomb. Amaya, I said, you're live. Copy. Spoofing the old handshakes, got it. It thinks we're Ninth Fleet logistics. She paused. It also thinks it's fulfilling a sacred duty. Re-educate it. She exhaled. Talking to old war code is like arguing with ghosts, sir. They don't change their minds. They just wait for you to walk into their doctrine. Then make it believe doctrine includes, don't murder the galaxy. Up top, Sarlith pinged me. Your heartbeat changes. Yours too, I said. Hold a little longer. I will hold until I am only holding. I didn't have a reply for that. Vance, Reese murmured. We've got movement. Not Chkrias drones. Different gate. I cued squad net. Eyes. Multiple contacts, 2 o'clock and 8. Not hostile yet. Chkra? I asked. Friends of yours? His mandibles flattened. Hardliners. They think the hollow star was right, that gods are best when they're burning. Fantastic. The hardliners emerged from the dark like a bad decision given legs, thicker carapace, ritual scoring, weapons that still smelled of fresh forge. Their leader wore a crown of fused circuitry and bone. Traitor, he hissed at Chkra. You invite the butchers into our marrow. Chkra didn't move. I invite survival, Keth. Choose sense. Keth aimed his spearcaster. I choose an ending that belongs to us. I stepped between them before Reese could. Keth, is it? If your ending kills everyone, it belongs to no one. His eyes slid to me. You will not die well, human. I've never done anything well on the first try, I said. But I get better. He twitched, confusion or amusement, hard to tell. Then he lunged. Reese had already keyed non-lethal. The corridor bloomed with burst foam and strobe. Keth's vanguard slipped, crashed, hissed. Hold. I yelled. No needles, no bolts. Foam and flash only. We turned the entry into a glue trap. Keth snarled through the hardening web. Cowards. Live cowards, Reese said. My favorite kind. Chkra stepped forward, level and lethal without moving. Keth. The queen breathes yet. The old enemy mends. If you kill our chance, you etch shame into the last stone of us. Keth spat. Better shame than servants. Better living servants than honorable ash, Chkra shot back, and I filed that as a line I'd steal later. Vance to engineering, I said quietly. Status. CR-7 is digging in, Amaya said. I can sandbox parts of it, but the shutdown cascade trips a failsafe that bricks the grid unless we spoof a mission complete flag. Define mission complete. Extinction confirmed, she said. Sir, it wants proof the hive is dead. I stared at the block like it had asked me to betray history. Can we fake that? A beat. Maybe. If we redirect brood signal telemetry through a dummy bus and feed CR-7 a flatline pulse, it'll stand down for post-op purge. Then do it. Copy. Spinning up the dummy. I'll need Queen signature to map the envelope. Sarlith. I asked. We need your. I will give what I have, she said without hesitation. If I fade, tell them we listened. You're not fading on my watch, I said, and meant it in a way that hurt. We wired the sanctum like a surgeon wires a heart, careful, terrified, too fast. Keth cursed in the phone. Skra posted drones at the door. Reese stood beside me, shouldering calm like a shield. Amaya, I said. Talk to me. Dummy bus live. Queen envelope mapped. Feeding CR7 the obit. How's it taking the news? Like a zealot, she said. It's satisfied. That makes one of us. Stand by, transferring grid control away from the relay. 3, 2. The block's hum changed pitch, a choir dropping an octave. The red arteries on our hollow softened to amber. My shoulders did something like hope. CR7 is in post-op purge, Amaya said. We've got a window. How wide? 90 minutes before it notices the world still exists. Then we fix a world in 89. We moved. Reese took Marines to clear access shafts. Skra sent drones ahead, humming low songs that kept the walls from closing. Amaya and Juno dove hands first into systems older than our first interstellar jump. I went back to the Queen. You giving us that last hour? I asked. Take 2, Sarlith said. I find I enjoy disobeying endings. A clatter in my ear. Sir, this is Chen on upper catwalk. Pressure release in Sector D. Sounds like the channel spiked, then leveled. Like breath. Copy. Keep it tight. We reached the primary conduits. They were brittle with neglect, veins turned to glass. If we pushed full current, they'd shatter. If we trickled, the hive would starve. Vance, Amaya said, I can spool a seed core out of the shuttle's fusion kit and graft it as a pacer. It'll keep the rhythm while we rewire. Do it. Skra watched my people work like he was seeing weather for the first time. You make, with hands. Not only with fire. We're slow that way, I said. Hard habit to break. Do not break it, he said. We installed the pacer. The hive took the beat like a dancer who'd been holding still too long. Colors returned to the walls, faint, then bolder. Something in the air lost its funeral. Keth, bound and breathing hard, stared as if betrayed by survival. This is treason, he rasped. This is breakfast, Skra answered. You can starve later if you miss hunger. Amaya's timer hit 60 minutes. CR7 slept the sleep of the righteous. I hated it more for that. Vance, Reese said over a private line. You okay? Ask me in an hour. I'll pencil it in. We ran cable. We patched nerves. We lied to a ghost so the living could be honest. When we threw the reroute, the hive sum gathered itself into something almost like a chord. Sarlith exhaled a new note. Warm, she said, surprise bright in it. I had forgotten the word. Don't, I said. We're building your vocabulary back. At 30 minutes, the block twitched, some subroutine shuddering awake. Juno knelt in the dust, hands flying. Not today, Grandpa, she whispered to code older than her. At 20, Keth whispered a prayer to a god that had only ever been a mirror for hunger. At 10, Skra put a hand on my shoulder. If we live, I will teach broodlings your name. Teach them how to fix things instead, I said. Names break. At 5, the grid held without the pacer. At 4, Amaya smiled for the first time since we landed. At 3, the block began to ask a question none of us intended to answer. Pull the pacer, I said. Cut the dummy. Let it see the world in real time. Juno's finger hovered. If it snaps back. Then we fight a ghost, I said. But we don't live with its lie. She nodded. Copy? The last cable slid free. The chamber listened. So did we. The old relay woke into a universe that had turned its face. It considered the data we streamed, the Queen's signature, the broodnet's pulse, the rebalanced load, and, for reasons I will argue with until my bones are space dust, it chose compliance over doctrine. CR7 is idle, Amaya whispered. Not purged. Not active. Just done. I let out the breath I'd been saving for retirement. Reese laughed once, bright and shocked. Skra sagged like a tower learning how to be a tree. Sarlith turned her gaze to me. You did not win a war, she said. You kept a promise. What promise? I asked. To answer. I keyed FleetNet. Command, this is Vance. Situation update. Hostile legacy device neutralized. Course stabilizing. Population present. Static. Then the cool voice of a woman who'd fought too many budgets and too few monsters. Copy, Vance. You are out of policy by a solar system. Also, good work. Authorizing humanitarian support. Don't get heroic. Too late, Reese murmured. I closed the channel and looked at Chkra. We'll need to set up med corridors, food synthesis, Deccan. We will learn, he said. We will make with hands. Keth stared at the ceiling as if it might fall just to spite him. He did not thank us. I did not ask. Chkra extended a limb toward me, unsure of the gesture. I gripped it. It was strong and careful. Your scent has changed, he said. Yours too. He clicked softly, Laughter's older cousin. Then we are both still alive. Vance to shuttles, I said into the net, finally allowing the shape of victory to enter my voice. Spin up relief packages. Engineering, lock that reactor down and print conduit braces. Med, triage at the Queen's Hall, mind the stairs. Marines, you are in water, don't drink the walls. Reese tilted her helmet back, met my eyes, and said the thing we say when fate blinks first. We're not dead yet. Let's keep it fashionable, I said. Zalrith closed her eyes. The pulse beneath the floor settled into a rhythm that felt like a beginning. I leaned against the sanctum rail and watched my people work with the quiet, relentless joy of those who prefer building to burning. Somewhere in the walls, the hive sang, not loud, not triumphant, just a low melody stitched out of breath and wire and stubborn will. It sounded, for the first time, like home. Part 3, Fire in the Dark. Command wanted a set trap every hour. I gave them one every 3. Mostly because I was busy, partly because I didn't know how to describe what we'd built. Humans and Sarlith side by side, fixing what a century of hate had broken. And then, just as the hive started to breathe again, the walls pulsing with steady light, drones moving like quiet workers instead of soldiers, that's when everything went to hell. Bridge log. Vance, this is Reese on perimeter watch. You'll want to see this. Her voice had that brittle calm that meant trouble. I climbed the ladder up to the ridgeline of the hive, a place where chitin met the violet sky. The clouds were moving wrong. Reese pointed. You see that shimmer? A silver arc moved through the storm front like a blade through fog, then another and another. Dropships. Not ours, she said. Fleet command? They're squawking our encryption, but... She tapped her visor. Transponder metadata's garbage. Someone cloned our codes. Meaning? Meaning someone doesn't want this peace to last. The first missile hit a kilometer away, a bloom of fire that turned the air into liquid light. The sound arrived a heartbeat later. Indomitable, this is Vance, I shouted into the mic. Multiple incoming signatures, likely mercs or rogue factions. Lock weapons, but hold fire until we identify. Copy, sir, came the bridge reply. Shields up, we're tracking 12 inbound craft. Exalrith's voice pulsed through comms, filtered through our translator net. What falls from the sky, fire or salvation? Neither, I said, just old habits. We scrambled to defense stations, humans and Sarlith alike. The Marines handed out shock rifles to drones that could hold them. Juno coordinated targeting from the ridge, while Reese pulled civilians into the sublevels. Overseer Kra was already barking orders in the brood ton, his soldiers forming living barriers around power conduits. He looked up at me and said, Your kind brings war, even when you bring help. I met his gaze. Then help us end it faster. Radio chatter. Engineering. Lock those clamps. Med bay, we're losing pressure on deck 3. Reese to Vance, we've got civilians near the outer spire, pulling them in. Copy that, keep them below the melt line. The next blast tore through a cluster of dormant towers. Chitin shattered, raining phosphorescent dust. Through the haze I saw something worse. One of the merc dropships didn't just fire, it landed. Reese, we've got boots on the ground. Visual confirmed, she said. Black armor, heat-sealed visors, no insignia. Then they're not here for rescue. We met them halfway across the bridge span between towers. 7 of them. Exosuits, human make. Identify, I called. This is Lieutenant Commander Vance, Terran Navy. Their lead tilted his helmet. You're out of jurisdiction, Commander. His voice was filtered, professional, detached. Stand down and evacuate your team. Not until you tell me who you are. Cleanup detail, he said. CR7 Protocol Enforcers. Your report says the failsafe is dormant. We're here to confirm termination. Termination of what? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. The second squad opened fire. We dove for cover. Shards of energy carved molten streaks into the deck. Reese was shouting over comms. 2 down, Chen hit. Return fire, stun only. Jikra's soldiers answered with low-frequency pulses that cracked armor like shells. Fall back to the inner wall, I shouted. Keep them from reaching the reactor spine. I caught one of the mercs square in the chest with a sonic round. He went down hard, helmet sparking. For a second, I thought we might turn the tide. Then I saw the detonator in his hand. Grenade! The world went white. I came to with static in my ears and the taste of iron in my mouth. My HUD flickered, half blind. The bridge had collapsed. Reese was dragging Chen through debris while Juno tried to patch the comm array with a piece of twisted panel. And in the distance, a low, pulsing roar. The Hive reactor. Overloading. Vance to engineering, talk to me. No response. I tried again. Amaya, report. Finally, sir, the mercs breached the sanctum. They're trying to reboot CR7 manually. If they get control, the failsafe reactivates, meaning the Hive dies again. Yes, sir. Understood. Hold them off. We're coming. We regrouped what we could. Jikra met me at the lift, his armor blackened and cracked. Hardliners join fight now. They remember home. Good, I said. Let's show them what humanity learned from hell. We stormed the sanctum together. The corridors were filled with fire, literal and otherwise. Sparks fell like burning rain. The air reeked of ozone and scorched resin. Inside the core chamber, the merc team was wiring explosives to the base of CR7. Their commander stood before the relay, visor cracked, one eye visible, cold and human. You don't understand, he said. The treaty was built on this device staying active. The moment it shuts down, the peace collapses. This isn't peace, I said. This is hospice with better PR. He raised his weapon. We do what we must to keep order. Yeah, I said. So do we. Reese fired first, clean fast center mass. The merc dropped, the rest followed in seconds. When the last one fell, Amaya staggered out from behind the core, coughing. They tried to arm a feedback pulse. I can stop it, but we're on borrowed time. The failsafe's melting down. How long? 5 minutes, maybe less. Evacuate the Hive. Reese opened her mouth to argue. I cut her off. That's an order. She hesitated, then saluted and ran. Jikra stayed. You cannot stop this alone. Wasn't planning to, I said, but someone has to hold the line. The heat was climbing fast. Circuits screamed. The core's light went from red to white. I keyed the command line. Sarlith, you reading me? Her voice came soft but steady. I am always listening. I need a direct energy sync between your neural lattice and the relay's containment web. If we merge inputs, we might reverse the cascade. It will burn me. Yeah, it'll burn everything if we don't. A pause. Then, so be it. The Queen extended her arms. Luminous strands unfurled from her body, connecting to the relay like veins of light. I linked my suit's field generator into the same web. The surge hit like a freight train made of lightning. The reactor roared. My HUD spiked into nonsense. Juno's voice was somewhere distant. Sir, you're overloading. Cut the link. Negative, I shouted. We hold it steady. Sarlith screamed, not in pain, but in release. The overload bled into rhythm, into pulse. For a moment, I saw it. The Hive's memory. Cities of light. Skies alive with wings. The world they'd lost, the one they might still have. Then it was gone. The light collapsed inward, folding on itself, leaving silence so deep it rang. When I woke, I was floating. My armor's mag boots weren't touching ground. The core chamber was half gone, molten glass cooling in slow spirals. Reese's voice came through static. Vance? Mark, do you copy? I'm here. Jesus, sir. We thought. Yeah, I rasped. So did I. Sarlith was slumped but alive, her eyes faintly glowing. It sleeps, she said weakly. The ghost sleeps again. I smiled, or tried to. Then let's not wake it. Outside, the merc ships were gone, jumped out or vaporized by the reactor flare. The nebula's lightning had gone quiet. Our ships descended through calm skies, carrying med teams and supply crates. Jakra approached me on the platform. Your body is broken. Only the easy parts. He inclined his head. Then you are whole. I watched the horizon. towers glowing faintly in dawnlight, drones working beside human engineers. Reese stood beside me, helmet under one arm. You realize they're going to court-martial you for this, right? Probably. Worth it? I looked at the hive, at the queen, at the first sunrise that world had seen in a century. Yeah, I said. Every damn second. Later, when the last fires dimmed, Sarlith summoned me one final time. She was standing without aid now, smaller somehow, but luminous. Your people destroyed us once, she said. Then they saved us. How do you hold both truths? By remembering both, I said, and trying to do better next time. She touched my shoulder, cool, careful. Then perhaps our worlds will meet again, not as prey and predator, but as memory and mirror. Here's hoping, I said. As our shuttle lifted off, the hive lights flickered, not in distress, but in rhythm. A pulse, a heartbeat. Alive. Indomitable, I said over comms, voice hoarse but steady. Mission complete. Mark that in the log, hive stable, hostiles neutralized, peace maintained. The comms officer hesitated. What's the classification, sir? I looked out at the nebula, vast, silent, and finally still. Call it what it is, I said. A rescue. Part 4, the long silence. Hey, say the void forgets everything. I don't believe that anymore. We left the Hollow Nebula 3 days ago. Our ships cut through the dust like old ghosts heading home. The afterburn trails glowed faint blue in the dark, the only light for 100 light years. Behind us, the hive still lived. Barely, but it lived. I keep the comms panel tuned to their frequency, the soft pulse they use to mark time. It's not language, not really, just a rhythm. 3 beats, pause, 2 beats. Their way of saying we're still here. The med bay smells like disinfectant and ozone. The doc says I got off light, cracked ribs, radiation burns, mild neural overstress from the energy surge. Could have fooled me. Every breath feels like I swallowed a thunderstorm. Reese stops by every few hours, usually with bad coffee and worse jokes. She leans against the doorframe now, arms crossed. You know, most officers would have taken the medal and retired after this, she says. I glance at her. I'm not most officers. Yeah. She smirks. That's the problem. She tosses me a small data wafer. Message came through subchannel. It's from the hive. I hold it, thumb tracing its edge. They learned our encryption fast. They learned a lot fast, she says. Jekra's already coordinating with our reconstruction units. They're calling it Operation Renewal. You'll like this. Their drones built a memorial on the surface. For their dead? I ask. For both sides, she says softly. Half the names are human. Later, when the ship cycles into rest, I play the message. It's video, flickering, imperfect. Sarlith stands framed by the towers, wind moving through her silver-veined wings. Behind her, children, broodlings, climb the ribs of the hive like playground bars. The light there is warm now, golden, not sterile. Her voice is calm, resonant. To the one called Vance, the hive breathes. The young learn to build. They have taken your words, fix things instead of names. We carve that above the new core. She pauses, looks up toward the sky. When the storms part, a shape moves in the clouds. The drones call it the indomitable star. We know better. It is your ship, and when it fades, we remember that you did not abandon the dark. The message ends there. The last frame, a still image of light spilling through ruin. I sit for a long time before I realize I'm smiling. Bridge log final transit day. Helm, confirmed jump coordinates back to Terran sector. Coordinates locked, sir. 3 jumps to home space. Engineering, you stable? Mostly, sir. Reactors humming like a drunk choir, but we'll make it. Reese leans on the console. Fleet Command wants your full debrief when we dock. Let them wait, I say. You planning to sleep? Eventually. She studies me for a moment, then says, You changed down there. Everyone does, I tell her. Some of us just notice. She grins faintly. You're getting philosophical again. That's never a good sign. As we cross the nebula's edge, sensors light up with faint echoes, millions of tiny signals drifting through subspace like snow. Telemetry, memories, maybe dreams. I record them all. Command will call it junk data. I call it proof. Proof that once upon a time a Deathworld species answered a call for help and didn't stop to ask who sent it. Personal log, Vance 12. When I was a kid, my mother told me war was just humanity trying to remember what it's like to matter. I think she was wrong. We already matter. We just forget how to show it. I pause, listening to the hum through the deck plating, that quiet vibration that fills every Terran ship. It sounds different now. Not just an engine, A heartbeat, steady and alive. 3 weeks later, we dock at Sol Outpost 6. Reporters swarm the landing bay, drones hover for footage, brass line up to shake hands and ask the wrong questions. Commander Vance, what really happened in the Hollow Nebula? I think about the Queen's voice, the hum of the hive, the Merc Commander's single cold eye. I answer simply, we remembered how to listen. They don't understand. That's fine. Not everything needs to be translated. Later that night, when the bay lights dim, I stand alone on the observation deck. Earth glows below. Blue, alive, defiant as ever. And somewhere beyond that, in a violet storm halfway across the stars, another world hums the same rhythm. 3 beats. Pause. 2 beats. Still here. I raise my hand to the glass and tap the response. 2 beats. Pause. 3 beats. Still listening. Epilogue transmission. A faint signal ripples through space, recorded weeks later by Terran Deep Array. Not human, not alien, something in between. 5 tones. A pattern. Decoded, it says, the ghosts are quiet. The builders wake. Thank you. The analysts file it under anomalous communication non-threat. They don't see the message for what it is. But those of us who were there, we know. The hive learned our language, and we learned theirs. A language built not from words, but from what came after them. Silence. Understanding, and a single, impossible truth. Sometimes even the void, mercy, answers back. Personal odds mission. If anyone ever finds this recording, remember the Hollow Nebula. Remember that enemies can outlive their wars. Remember that saving someone else is the only thing that saves us from ourselves. Lieutenant Commander Mark Vance, Terran Navy, signing off. End of file.